Hi, welcome to YouTube channel. This is Ninth Priest, and in today's video, we'll be learning how to identify a valid pullback. Yeah. So kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel and send a comment on which video you would want me to do next. Okay. All right. So when identifying a valid pullback, we take a look on the highest candle's lowest wick in a bullish scenario. For example, in this bullish scenario, we will take a look at the highest candle, which is this one. So the lowest wick, this wick. So this the bullish candle, all right, the bullish candle. So the lowest wick is this. We will see if there is a break. It don't matter if it's a wick or a candle close below, all right. So since we have the highest wick here, this one is the highest candle, all right. So the lowest of that highest candle is this. So we saw a break with this candle wick. This one is not a candle closer, all right. It's a wick. So we identify this as a valid pullback. Okay. As you can see, the highest wick is this one. The highest candle wick is this. So the lowest point here, we saw a break. We saw a break of that low. So this identifies as a valid pullback. All right. This identifies as a valid pullback. So on the scenario 2, we have the highest candle here. All right. This low, we didn't see any break below. So we move to the next highest candle, which is this. All right. And this is the low. And we didn't see a break in the low. All right. It formed something like equal highs. So this candle low didn't break below the highest candlestick low. So we are talking about the bullish scenario. All right. So this made something like this. It didn't break below. So we identified this as invalid pullback. So if the candle wick was to be something like this, then we will identify this as a valid pullback. So in this scenario, we had this. Okay. We didn't break below the lowest wick. So this identifies as an invalid pullback. Okay. And this is a valid pullback because we broke below the highest wick. So this is the highest bullish wick. So the lowest of that highest bullish wick, we broke below that wick. So it makes this identifies as a valid pullback. And this identifies as invalid pullback. Okay. So the third scenario, which is this one. As you can see, this was the highest wick. This wick in the bullish scenario, they didn't break past the previous wick. Okay. So this candlestick was inside this. So we disregard this candlestick. Okay, and focus on this candlestick. All right. So as you can see, we didn't break below the wick. So this was formed within this candle and its wick. So this one identifies as an invalid pullback. In case we would have been able to break below this wick like this, then it would have been an like a valid pullback. Okay, so since we did this, it is an invalid pullback. Okay, so the next candle we will focus on is this highest candlestick in the bullish scenario. This low, we didn't break below this low. That's the lowest wick. We didn't break below it. Okay, so the wick is still intact. Okay, so if you made something like this, then it would have been a valid pullback. But since we made this, it is an invalid pullback. Okay, so all this was formed within this candlestick. Okay, and the highest one, the next highest wick, this one, we didn't have any wick or candle to break below its lowest wick. So this identifies as an invalid pullback. Okay, so the next candlestick, the fourth scenario, as you can see, we have this high and then the low. We didn't see any candlestick breaking below the low. We move to the next candlestick, which is this. Okay, so we saw this candlestick high breaking below this low. So this identifies as a valid pullback. All right, because we broke below the low of the previous high, the previous bullish candlestick. This was the high. So the price came back, swept the low, and then moved high. So this identifies as a valid pullback. All right. So on the next bearish scenario, we have this. The recent bearish candlestick with a wick is this one. All right. Okay. And as you can see, the previous one, this candlestick didn't break the previous high, the previous lower high candlestick wick, which is this one, because this candlestick was formed inside this. Okay, so this was the previous high and the previous low, yeah, the previous low, lowest wick, and the highest wick is this. So we didn't see any candlestick wick breaking beyond this low, breaking beyond this high. Okay, so this candlestick, if it was to be something like this, it would have been a valid pullback. All right, but in this case, we saw this, so it is an invalid pullback. And the next bearish candlestick, this one, didn't break above the highest wick. It did something like this. So we didn't have any break above the previous lowest candlestick, which is this. All right, so this is an invalid pullback. So on this candlestick, this scenario, we had this, okay, at the lowest, like the bearish candlestick. As you can see, this wick broke above the wick and then continued pushing downwards. Okay, so this identifies as a valid pullback because we broke above the high of that wick and then continued with a bearish scenario to break above the high too, the low too. Okay, so one thing to get in mind: if we break the low, we have to break the high. If we break the high, we have to break the low. So as you can see in this one, this first scenario, we broke past the low, okay, and then we came back to break the high too. So this identifies as a valid pullback. All right, that identifies as a valid pullback. Okay, so um, let me get rid of the brushes and we continue. Okay, so as you can see, we broke past the low and then we broke past the high too. Okay, so this identifies as a valid pullback. All right, so in this scenario, this is the high. We didn't break the low and then we didn't break the high. If we didn't break the low and then we broke the high, it's still an invalid pullback. We would have to consider this low on our next candle print. Okay, but in this case, we didn't break the low, we didn't break the high. So this is an invalid pullback. Okay, in this scenario, we didn't break this low, but we broke the high. So this doesn't qualify as a valid pullback. Okay, so if it was to be something like this, okay, so in this scenario, we have a high and then we broke that highest candlestick low, this low, we broke it, and then we came back to break the high two again. So this will qualify as a valid pullback. But in this case, we didn't break, this candlestick didn't surpass this. It was formed within the candlestick. Okay, it was formed within this, and we didn't break this low, but we broke the high. So this is not a valid pullback. The next candlestick, we didn't break the next candlesticks, which is this one. We didn't break the low, okay, and we didn't break the high too. So this doesn't qualify as a valid pullback. All right, so we will get into like some example on the chart. So in this scenario too, as you can see, the highest wick, this highest wick, and this highest candlestick and next wick, we broke below the low and then we came back to break the high. So this identifies as a valid pullback. All right, so in this scenario too, this candlestick, it was a high, the lowest candlestick before the preceding prince. Okay, so we didn't break the low, but we broke the high. It identifies as an invalid pullback. Okay, in this scenario, this lowest candlestick, this was formed inside this candlestick. Okay, so we broke the low and then we broke the high. So this low identifies as a valid pullback. So let's go to the chart and let me show you what it means. Okay. Um, so on the chart, let's go to the 15-minute time frame. Okay. So on the 15-minute time frame, we have this candlestick. This was the lowest candlestick. Okay. Price passed the low and created this. It didn't come back to, it created another high. And then broke the low again with this candlestick. Okay. So as you can see, we created this high by breaking the highest candlestick wicks. It doesn't matter if it's a wick or a candle closure. Okay, and then we came back to break the high too. So this identifies as a valid pullback. Okay, as you can see, price came back, mitigated this supply, gave a reaction, moved slightly, came back to mitigated supply, gave a reaction, and then started dropping. Okay, so let's move. Let's go back to price action and see. Let me start from this. Okay, in a bullish scenario, we had this high. Okay, from this high, price gave a low. Okay, by breaking below the wick. There's a wick here, but you can see. Okay, so broke below the highest candle wicks low with this, and then broke the high again. So this qualifies as a valid pullback. Okay, as you can see, we have this candlestick. It doesn't qualify as a valid pullback because it didn't break anything. Okay, we created another high here. Price broke below the low, created this, then broke the high again. So this qualifies as a valid pullback. Okay, as you can see, price swept the low again in the future, mitigated this supply zone, and then moved up. All right. So in this scenario, price gave, this one was the highest wick, the bearish candlestick. It was the highest wick. Okay, price broke below that low, gave a new low, and then broke above the high too. So this qualifies as a valid pullback. Okay, that qualifies as a valid pullback. As you can see, price came back to sweep that valid pullback, mitigate a demand zone. Okay, and then give a reaction and dished out. Okay, so comparing a valid pullback with the POI gives you a higher chance of getting your trades playing out. All right, so let's, this was the highest wick. Okay, price gave a low here, broke that wick's low here. It came back, it couldn't break the high with this candlestick high. So this here is not a pullback yet. So as you can see, we broke that high with this. So the valid pullback is this pullback. Okay, that's the valid pullback. All right, so that will be considered as my liquidity in trading. Okay, as you can see, after breaking that high, after breaking that high, price came back again, swept this highest candle wicks low. Okay, broke the low again, gave a valid pullback with that break of the high. So this, after breaking the high, then this qualifies as a valid pullback. Okay, so the new valid pullback will be this. Okay, that will be the valid pullback. Let's go to the 1 hour time frame. So on the 1 hour time frame, on the 1 hour time frame, as you can see, price gave this lowest wick. Price came back, broke that wick. Okay, okay. So price broke above this. Okay, so this was the lowest candlestick wick, and we broke above that. And after breaking above that high, we came back and then broke the low. So this qualifies as a valid pullback. So without breaking this high, after breaking this low, after breaking the high, it doesn't qualify as a pullback. So if price was to store somewhere around here without breaking it, then it would have been an invalid pullback. Okay. So this here, price created a low. We broke that candlestick's high, and then we broke the low again, giving us a valid pullback as this. So this is a valid pullback. All right. So thank you for watching this YouTube video, and let me know which video you would like me to make next. All right, I'll do it and update you guys. Just comment the video you would like me to do in the comment section. Okay, thank you.